Hello, hello, hello. Wait, Chris, fan for anyone? Yep, see you all. That's awesome. Right now, it's just me. Awaiting guests. Good to see you. Moose. Drinking coffee down in it quick here. Back into the swing after vacation. Yeah, it was. Thank you. It was good. Definitely. Enjoyable. Thanks. Hey, Sparky. Timmy Knock. Dill. Yeah, that's so true. Robert Harley! Hey, Robert, we're in ads right now, man, and thank you so very much. Everyone hang in there. Coming on 8 minutes, yeah. Thank you. Great to see you all. I got a great giveaway for a Kickstarter tonight, too, from Cholord. In fact, let me set that up while we're in ads here. This is the Kickstarter running right now. Give me 1 second here. I'm doing great, thank you. Just got back from vacation. Let me set this up. Great to see you all. Oh yeah, if you haven't signed for the Kickstarter yet. Hey, Mythical. Let me see. Hold on 1 second here. I'm a little frazzled. I have my one guest is not on yet, and Stephen Chenault's coming on the second hour. There's Robert's shout out. Robert, I know you've been talking to Troller Games too, so good to hear. Now look, what button do I hit next? How about this one? Thank you very much. Very kind. I'll be live in 6 minutes here. Oh, I almost got a hype train too. That's awesome. We're going to talk more skills and the survival guides. My survival guide expert's not on yet. Today from Mysterious Tim. Hour 2, Stephen Chenault from Troller Games is going to come on, talk skills, and also talk about their Great Marbury Kickstarter, which that was for, and we have a giveaway for it as well for that Kickstarter. So, got some good stuff going on. Sit tight here. I'll come on a little early. I'll have to do some switch changes to the screen if I am solo. But I can show you guys some other great stuff too, especially those who are just the virtual crowd con. Got some wonderful things coming. All right. Notice the screen next to me is blank because I don't have a guest yet. So because you remember Anna's in Sweden and Steven's coming on the second hour and Tim is running a little late, I've been told. So let me switch to the other screen where at least I can put something up. And it's great to see everyone tonight. I'm back from a week's long vacation. See, this is how we normally hide this here. There we go. That's how we normally hide that. When there's no guest on currently, we hide it with a little back like that. Good to see you. Hey, Curtis. I am, like I said, right now I am currently solo, but I know for a fact that Steven Schultz will be on the second hour, definitely. Hopefully Tim can get on. His wife just had surgery, and I know he's doing stuff to help her out, so he may be running late. But some cool things. I know I've been going like over a week. It was a nice vacation. It was in Florida. Nice time. It did rain every day, but it didn't rain much. We went to, if you saw some of the pictures with the Kennedy Space Center, that was awesome. I appreciate that. I am not alone. It's very cold in space. I know I botched that one. I botched that alien. What is it? No one can hear you scream in space. Is that it? Hey, there's Von Molku. Good to see you all. As people are starting to roll in here. And thank you for the raid again, Robert Hartley. That was really nice of you. I know you usually have to bolt afterwards, but I really appreciate it. I need to get you back onto a stream. So, some things. Well, we do some. We can do these at the end as well. So, what is going on with this? Wrong screen, dummy. Virtual Crowd Con is coming, right? Sign up start Friday. Had a big meeting today. Virtual Crowd Con 4. Sign up start. Thank you, Lomas. Hitting us up that hype train over to level 3, on the way to 3. I'll show you guys what the giveaway is awesome tonight. At least one giveaway, and we'll get to that in a second. But it's an awesome one, so you want to do it, especially if you haven't done. You know what? Since you're on, I'll show you. I'll show you that too. If you know anything about the latest Kickstarter that Troller Games is doing, the Armory, and they have the 3 books. So tonight's giveaway, which is already set up, is this. All right, you will get the $25 buy-in Kickstarter reward, which is the Armory's 3 books in PDF. All right, when the Kickstarter becomes available. So basically, it's like you buying into the $25 Kickstarter. Now, if you already have it and you win, I'll get you a $25 gift certificate from Chuck if you already have it and you win. Okay, but a lot of people, I'm assuming, don't, and that's one of the reasons why Steven Schultz coming on. So that's a really great, and that's only one. I may do something else too myself, and just to let you know. So there we go. That's good. For Greyhawk Reborn, Lando, it's great to hear. We had a great meeting this morning. I had 9 people on my Zoom and myself, including 2 people from Greyhawk Reborn this morning. Bones was on, Jimmy Duffy, Josh Pop, Garner, a gentleman who works with Fantasy Grounds. We just had a great meeting. I know I'm missing Dave from Guild Superior, Wally Hobbit. We had a lot of great people on this morning. It was fantastic to talk about this. So I was going to save this till the end, but here comes a reply. All right, Tim's having some issues. So Tim's having a computer issue. Let me just put cool. Take your time. Okay, so he's going to be coming on. So if you haven't seen this, this is the Virtual GrowCon 2023 artwork. This was commissioned courtesy of Troy by Dan Smith, and we are good to go with this. So here we go. All right, And this is 20, and this is an ode. I'll show this again at the end. But if you don't know what this is an ode to, I'll show you. Thank you, Delta West. It is an ode to this in my hand, if you can see. It's an ode to the Greyhawk Adventures, right? The two guys flying, and in the background, there you go. And there they get chased. I think it's awesome. So that'll be our 2023 VirtualGrowlCon 4 artwork, which will be, and I've already ordered them. If you want to order them when you sign up and register, you have to register to do it. The VirtualGrowlCon 4 T-shirts, they'll be available shortly once the con, and that is live on Friday at noon. Friday or Saturday, it's live. June 30th. I'm losing track of my days. June 30th. It's live on Friday morning. You can start signing up, registering for the event, and start putting in your games. All right. So, yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool. An ode to from Dan Smith. So there you go, and that's what we got going for VirtualGrowlCon. We got a lot of. Goal is to have 75 events in this year. I think we'll get there. Surpassed 68 that we had last year. So working on that. I know Tim is still rebooting his machine. So, and then said Stephen will be on the second hour. Note that Josh and I, and a lot of people are working to get some big names to DM events this year. The biggest one is, if you don't know, and we got to make sure it happens, but he's already committed. Is Sir Andrew Scott Perry from Warp. He's going to run an Expedition to Barrier Peaks game, which is the big deal, because normally it's only he or Jim Ward who DMs for that Warp group. So he's going to bring it out to VirtualGrowlCon and run a little small thing with it, and I think that'll be awesome. We're going to reach out to some of the other legends, and see if we can get them to run some games here as well, including all Troller Games, Growlk Reborn, and great people like Alan Grohe, and all the channels that will have multiple adventures too. So hopefully we'll have a really nice set there of adventurers playing, some opportunities. Thank you for that hype train. It was really kind. Yes, as you can see, I'm doing my best to keep the things rolling here. I need coffee. And this week I got 4 streams. Monday, tomorrow night. Thanks, Josh. Tomorrow night I will be on Classic Sam, New York GM, Classic Sam NYGM. She's actually on, just chatting now on her channel. I'll be interviewed by her at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So I will. Thank you. Thanks, Josh. I was just talking about you. All positive, all good things. As we're waiting Tim and then Stephen Chenault a little later. So, here's something. If you all know about my great location in Altamira, the hangout for, I'm in Florida, and look what I find. Is that funny or what? What are the odds? There's a place where I am staying, within a mile of where I'm staying, called the Salty Dog. So I was like, very cool. So there you go. So the great minds must think alike there, as far as the name of. I didn't even know what kind of place it was, but that's the big inn in Altamira that's being used on Blue Box and it's been used in my game for a long time. So we have a Salty Dog in Florida. I was not aware of, and now I am. So that was funny. Also, if you haven't gotten yours, pick it up yet. Please do. Hopefully, if the stream crashes when Tim comes on, I'll reboot here, but we should be okay. But Visions of Greyhawk is out. It came out today. I don't have any writings on it, but on this first episode, issue. But I know there's a lot of great commentary in there. I know Sam's got one. I know Gary's got one at least. Troy's got one. Norker's got one. Lots of good stuff. So I'm excited about reading it. really looking forward to this moving on as a permanent publication for us at in the Greyhawk community. Really cool. There he is. How are you doing, dude?
Good.
Let me
Can you
get you.
hear me?
Yes. There we
I'm
go.
sorry.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. I was holding off. Let me see. I gotta move that out of the way of your face. I gotta find it now how to do that. Which one is it? I moved it up too quickly, and now it's blocking you. It's got it's an image slideshow. Is that it?
I
Nope.
keep
That's.
moving it.
I know. I know. I know. I did it. I moved it up there quick to block you, and now I can't get it to move. Image slideshow. It's that one. There we go. Yeah, I got it now. And then we'll move down. All right. The ever mysterious Tim is with
Hello.
us. Tim is the expert in this discussion. That's why we needed him so badly. So, and I appreciate you coming on, dude. It's good to see you.
Very good to see you.
Yeah, man. How is I know Alan DM'd some stuff, and I heard that's going pretty well when I'm not here. That's cool. That's good to
That
hear.
was fun.
Excellent. You had Jimmy Yingling.
Jimmy Yingling making bad decision after bad decision.
That's perfect. That's the way.
So he was successful because of it, of course.
And he didn't die, right?
He didn't die.
There you go. Very
Didn't
cool.
die.
So we're going to tonight talk about, and this is Tim's bread and butter in his game. If you've ever seen him play DM on the channel, I don't know which of these came first, the Dungeon or the Wilderness Survival Guide. Do we know? I know the Dungeon Survival Guide was 1986. Wilderness is. Let me take a look here. Wilderness is 80. They're both 86. Yeah, Yingling is made a huge comeback, especially with all the Bud Light issues going on. It's up like 60%. So they're both here. Which one did you get first, Tim, and which one did you start delving into?
I actually, hard copy, only had the Wilderness.
You only had the Wilderness Survival Guide. Okay.
Yeah.
So by Kim Mohan. So it was the Dungeon was first, though, Sam. Yeah, I think so, too. But all right. So what, like, when you got this, like, where you're like, oh, this is awesome. Like, what drew you right to it? These guides. These
what I really liked was the ability to actually add a little bit of additional flavor to your character, basically. So you can have a non-combat skill that supports, maybe you want to be a barbarian, but you don't have stats. Well, you could take non-combat proficiencies that fit in culturally right to it, no problem. Or you wanted, you could flavor it up that way. Maybe he's high class, so you want him to take all like etiquette and know a bunch of other stuff. And so it just adds a little elements of it doesn't add anything into the game that a DM couldn't agree to and just kind of role play it and let it go and then, handle it informally, but it codifies it and lets you identify some of those additional featured abilities.
Excellent.
That's fun to do. It's fun to do.
I should be better now, Tim. Enoch, just let me know if my sound is better now. All right.
Well, Jay, you still sound like you, so it only gets.
That's awesome. Even Tim's busting my balls. So, where did you go to in here? I mean, you got wilderness proficiencies. Did you go to there? Did you go to weather? I mean, in this book first. Like, there's a lot.
There's a lot in there. It was really the proficiencies that it got woke. Well, the whole thing got woken up by the barbarian.
Right, that's a great point.
The whole thing got at least for first edition got woken up by the barbarian, and they had all these additional skills. And then the Wilderness Guide came out, and because there was no rules on really how to run a lot of the complexities of adventuring in the wilderness. And so it really flushed out. If you wanted to do an outdoor campaign, you could do so very well. And let's face it, in our history, the greatest explorers are not just going through this nice temperate place that's forest and idyllic with fruit trees growing everywhere. They're going to some places that are hard and wretched, and the elements and the terrain is the major problem. And so how do you handle that? You can do it abstractly, or you can actually have a set of rules where you can punish players for lack of preparation.
So true. Yeah, and you use the word punish, but like,
Oh, you're not going to bother going and shopping and buying fur coats and getting several other donkeys and mule things to carry extra tentage. Oh, you don't want to carry fuel? All right.
yes, or you don't want to have a pack bearers with red shirts on.
Right, because Jay will kill them all anyway, and just he lets you live out of your backpack without worrying about it.
Exactly, a little bit different. We have some different styles. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, and you're right. Barbarians, as you come down here, climb cliffs and trees, hide in natural surroundings. Say, let's hide in shadows, but not really. Surprise back protection was definitely
Right,
fairly new.
when you go further onto their secondary and
Yeah.
tertiary skills is where you really start. It
Survival.
starts
Yeah.
survival. There's long distance signaling, small boat paddling, animal training. There's some things in there that overlap, and I think that was one of the things that probably, I don't know, pushed or ignited the idea of having those skills. Other that and I'm always going to say it, Warhammer. D&D has made changes because it has Warhammer envy and wants to be a little bit more like Warhammer.
Are you talking about Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, or are you talking about
Fantasy roleplay?
Because
Fantasy roleplay.
we messed a little bit with it. And I remember I had one freaking spell, and it drove me nuts. And it was a light spell on a stick. And that's all I had, man, because it was so rare. Magic was so rare in that game.
Well, you were apprentice. We only really played once or twice. But no, when in that game you have so many other skills and you have talents, which kind of accent skills. And you've incorporated things very similar to those in your proficiency listing.
Right.
And then in my version of your proficiency listing, I added a few others that I stole from Warhammer to throw it in there. And when you look at 3rd edition, the way they've added on prestige classes, Warhammer, you start out in a basic career and you move to an advanced career. And there's lots of forks in the road and opportunities that you can take as you advance. So I always thought D&D kind of copied it, and having all those additional sort of skills that kind of build up a character for role play and for other skills, so it gives it a little bit more flavor.
I agree.
I thought Warhammer was really rich in it, and that's what was always missing early on in the very earliest part of the game, unless you fabricated it yourself.
So we went about it different ways, though. Beckme had their own skills. I don't recall the timing, though, relative to AD&D. They were extremely limited. I don't think Holmes Basic did, but I think Beckme did. But we went about it different ways. You went about it using the guides. I went about it using feats in 3rd edition when 3rd edition came out in the 90s. And I'm like, we always had two-fisted fighting as a weapon proficiency. That was the one we always had, because Roger Moore, the Roger Moore 2 weapon fighting, and we're like, this should take up a weapon slot, right? And
it's such a big advantage.
Yeah. So we made Zap. We made it take a weapon slot. Can someone, Zap, Norker, if you're on, link the Visions of Greyhawk in here for download for everyone. If you could do that, that would be great, so that people can get that while they're watching here. That would be awesome. So here's mine. Ones that it expands into the game. I know you use some of them, which is fine. But I took them and I changed up the system a little bit. I made it come quicker than in the original. Thank you, Zap. Really appreciate that. But for you, and I have yours here. And city state combat proficiencies. I have yours. So let me go back to the Wilderness Survival Guide. So here we go. We'll do that here's the guide. This is Kim Mohan's. So it goes through a lot of things you just don't even think about in the game that you take for granted, correct? You just don't even think about it, and you can turn that into an issue or a problem or a challenge. correct on that, Tim? Like being in the wilderness and the struggles of that, and you're muted.
People die in the wilderness without any orcs or goblins all the time.
That's so true. That's so true. And you can make that an absolute challenge. And what they've done here it is. So here's the weapon slots, and adding proficiency per level. Thanks, Greg. Here it's different than they have weapon and they have non-weapon. They've just expanded the table from Unearthed Arcana. That's exactly what they've done here. Right? Yeah. They've taken it on one side and they've given you options. And for me, some of them I've made some slight changes to it. And here they come. Here come your wilderness proficiencies. Give me your opinion on the first generation of these that they put in the book. You got blind fighting, which we've always had. Endurance, healing, hunting, mountaineering, plant lore.
Yeah. It's a good selection it's a great selection for outdoors people and for people who need skills outdoor. I like them all. I use them. I think when I first incorporated them, it was pre-3rd edition. I was in college.
Right.
And I incorporated them all, and I had some players really do some cool stuff with them. A guy who had a gnome fighter thief who was proficient with lasso, and he had rope use.
Oh, cool.
And because he was a thief, he was a climber. So I just remember he was doing an ambush, lassoed the neck of the cleric on the back of his horse. So he threw it down, got him around the neck when he rolled, and then he had the rope tied to himself. He rolled off the other side of the tree and started hanging, the cleric. And
cool.
And then tied it off because rope use. He's able to, he's hanging upside down. He's a thief. Can climb. He ties off the rope so the cleric is being choked, can't get free, and then he slid upside down the rope and started hitting him in the head with a hatchet.
I will say this: in 43 years, I don't think I've ever had that happen in my campaign. That's pretty cool.
So that's very and actually a friend of mine who was playing that, he was a fellow guy in ROTC and went off in the army, whatever. He was like, he would climb all the buildings on campus and put a little ball of clay on the peak with a little flag on it, little teeny flag, and he was marking he was free climbing them too. So he was was hard to say you can't do that.
Yeah, he didn't fall, so that
right, he didn't fall.
So you got your initial proficiencies here. Obviously not enough. I mean, there's some, but you've taken it to a whole new level. I know that, and it describes them all here. But it appears that early on, if you're talking ROTC days for you, you're using them already. So this is 80s, late 80s.
Right. I graduated high school in 86, so yep. I'm running a group in 87, 88, 89.
Pre-3rd edition. So you were doing these earlier than me because I was doing feats reversed. You're doing skills right from the books. God, why didn't I do them? That's a good question. Why? Some of my players didn't really want.
They knew you were going to nerf it and never let them get away with anything. So
you're probably right. Yes, I'm too anal when it comes to that stuff. I've eased up a little bit in my age. Though.
Yeah, you've eased up
just a little bit. But a lot of these are also sums that already exist that they put down, like tracking. It's a ranger skill.
No, Jay, I'll say, to be fair, honestly, the way, if you're not running a game that's detailed outdoors,
right,
you're never going to touch on the outdoor wilderness stuff anyway.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think
not in that era. In the 80s, we're dungeon crawling.
Yeah, you didn't really do that much. I was running one that was detailed outdoors in college. It was a bandit kingdoms running around the woods, hiding from the bad guys and ambushing and doing all sorts of stuff in the woods. So it kind of fit more logically. So that might be a factor.
Yeah, your direction was a factor, and for me, we are not. Let's just put it this way: the table you see downstairs has not evolved yet.
Right.
at this point. We have what's called the fishy box, which is a box of all the slag miniatures that just like get thrown in there, like pieces of, or or just player characters, not painted. They represent all the monsters, and we're putting them out on mats with the dry erase marker board. That's what we're doing, right? Or we have it just on the table. And you know me, I could never map. I'm like, oh man, I messed up as I'm mapping and giving you guys the map. And we just have a spot on the table where all the combats take place. We haven't evolved into this what we have now. Hey, Regent, good to see you. Thank you. That doesn't come till early mid 90s, when first thing we really used was the GeoHex. That changed everything when we had the GeoHex and we're using it for BattleTech. And we're like, why don't we use this for Greyhawk, for D&D at that point? So yeah, the game was different. You're right. It was mostly dungeon crawling back then. So yeah, guys, we got a great giveaway tonight. We got a great one. I'll talk about it when Steven Schnell comes on. So Weather Sense is cool. Wow, Weather Sense. Holy jeez. Can only be used without penalty once in every 24-hour period. So some of this stuff, you go, oh, that's a druid's ability, and this kind of gave you the option to go different directions with it.
Well, what if you were a guy who was druid-ish and you lived outdoors and the weather was a big factor? But getting weather sense doesn't steal from the druids, does it?
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. But I mean, if you were a follower, maybe your wisdom wasn't high enough, your charisma's not high enough. So what do? Yeah, I'm a fighter, but I really do like nature, and I really am a follower of the old faith, and I pay attention to the weather. I mean, why? It kind of helps you fulfill that story better,
Absolutely.
The ranger wannabe, the druid wannabe,
a scout, who has a thief.
The scout who has no stouts. He has no stats for it, but he's a fighter who can track, or he's a thief that can track, but he doesn't have the other stats and stuff to be a full-fledged.
And they really go into detail on here on exposure, which is new to the game, really, because it said, "Oh, it's cold. Yeah. You're in the Barbarian Lands. It's cold, but there are no real effects."
I use that. I don't know if you remember, I was using that in the Underdogs game.
Yep, absolutely.
In the cold,
in the Rovers, yeah, absolutely, because it's going to have an effect on you. Definitely, it's neat stuff that you can add into the game. There's no reason you can't apply this in any edition you're playing. As well, environment effects. There's a point where you don't want to overdo it so it drags the game down. You want to add this to add flavor to your game, and not to overdo it. Wow, tornado damage to structures. That's cool. Hailstorms. So it goes into weather in this much more. Now there's a weather generation chart in the 83 box set, but it's nothing like what this is. So
yeah. And I had an artificially cold nexus point that was created supernaturally, so I could. This really played into the specific game we were running at the time.
Yeah,
it was the one where John's character killed one of the other player characters.
Oh yes, he killed Alex's Antiquitus's character, right?
Yeah,
yeah. That was. Was that cool? Yes, that was awesome. Because I was watching, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah. So Blue Box should be rating into us in an hour or so here. All right, so Frostbite. Oh, that's good. That's great. Almost looks like Jack Nicholson in The Shining right there.
His barbarian character, if you're I don't know if you recall, his character was charmed by ice sprites.
Yeah, he lost some toes, didn't he?
And he got frostbite and lost some of his toes. So his maximum movement rate as a barbarian is still 12 inches. It's not 15. His character is a bona fide barbarian class, but his maximum movement rate is only 12 inches because of the loss of a tip of his toes.
Oh, that sucks.
So, which is fair. Yeah, it's fair.
Absolutely. You're firm,
Could have got a lot worse. Could have got a lot worse.
Could have.
I wanted to kill him off, but I decided to keep him.
Here's a skill in here that I try and stay away from. It's hard. It's hard to do, and that's encumbrance, right? It's hard to. What is the limit of weapons a character can carry? And armor suits. It should be one, right? It shouldn't have two, unless it's leather and something.
You can't take more than one. I mean, you could. I mean, even a suit of leather is going to weigh like 15 pounds.
Yeah,
So
it's tough.
you could say that leather, like your Under Armour of your chainmail, I would allow it to be the same as leather armor.
Right.
Because your gambeson and other, because chainmail is worthless without padding, practically. So,
Okay.
so I would let that happen, but really, you can't carry an extra set of chainmail.
Right. Encumbrance is a tough one. Or another thing that when I think of, and I don't want to go there with this, but like say, especially if you're a polearm specialist, Skygith. We're not talking monks, so you're safe. Good to see you. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
So if I got a +2 halberd on me, I don't have a backup halberd. It's tough, right? How do you have two halberds?
Yeah, unless you have a bag, some magical bag of holding, or some magical Heward's handy haversack, or some
bag of hold.
Yeah, some other thing like that. That's the only way.
Yeah.
I could say you could carry 2 spears.
Right.
You could have them in a bundle in your hand. I remember when I ran, I forget, it was the Underdark fundraiser. I ran a game, and I was very much like, you have a longbow. There is no putting your longbow that's 6 feet long on your back.
Right. You got to put it down.
So you have to drop it. If you have a spear, what do you do with your spear? I put the spear down, and so we did that, and everyone just adapted real quick. It just makes you think. It's really a good tool to make you think about where that person is, and you can focus on it. Oh shit. How am I going to get this? What am I going to do next? And it makes them think about what they're going to do. It's a little bit more tactile feeling, I think, in your imagination for your next step, what you're going to do. So, but yeah, I don't like to add up all the weight. I don't do that.
Yeah. What you get? Well, so always the Becta Corbin is the one. It appears in weird places. Okay. Now, I always said, and I always thought that fight between Arthur and Lancelot, the first time he sees him in Excalibur, that Lancelot has a Becta Corbin in his hand, but people are telling me it's not a Becta Corbin. I always thought it was.
It is a fantastical version of it. It's the one that's all metal.
Right.
Yeah. That's a fantastical version. A Becta Corbin basically is a specific type of knightly polearm they would fight with.
Yeah, and Sam, I understand. Once again, how real do you make a fantasy game, right? And that's the thing is that it's a fantasy setting, and we can all do it to your level of. And with this book really helps you put stuff into reality.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I like the. My son was playing. He has a half ogre who's specialized with a halberd, and it broke.
Yeah.
And I guess you're pulling out your sword.
Right, and that's why you should always have 2 weapons. Even with the days of specialization, you need a backup weapon.
Right. Now, you could carry a backup sword, sure. Unless it's a two-handed, bona fide two-handed, you can't. But right. I would let any other size you could conceivably carry it. Very bulky, though. Anyone who's worn a real size sword for a while, it's bulky.
Yeah. Tell everyone about your armor, because I know you talk about it on Blue Box, but like what you were rated.
I was studied and trained with the Association for Renaissance Martial Arts, and just studying swordsmanship as a martial art. And the primary tool is a longsword, which is the generic longsword, be about 4 feet long, 2.5 to 4 pounds. But they typically didn't carry that. That was a thing you would pull out to fight, knowing you're going to fight in a war. But your arming sword, a sword that's 3 feet, long, 40 inches long, you'd wear one of those, and they're cumbersome. Yeah. Throw a dagger on your belt, throw a buckler on your belt, throw a backpack on,
shield,
throw a helmet on.
What's up, Will?
And now you're go ahead and throw that on, and now go run 100 yards.
So you were a master in sword and shield style. I thought you were in spear and shield too. Was it just sword?
No, I never ever said a master in any of it.
Oh, I thought you had to go through 100 people and defeat 66 of them.
Yeah, that made me just simply a free scholar.
Oh,
in longsword.
So every 30 seconds, someone came at you, 100 different people, right?
Basically, well, sometimes less than that. So it depends on how long the fight was.
And you had to win 2/3.
I was being tested, so they would come and we'd spar, and whoever won, I would stay in because I'm being tested, but I had to win at least 85% of them.
Oh, it's 85.
Yeah.
Wow. To become a scholar.
Free scholar, yeah.
Okay. And you did that in sword.
Longsword.
Longsword. Was that with the shield?
No, longsword.
Just
so
longsword. Okay.
It's basically longsword is like a two-handed sword,
Okay.
but not the Zweihanders that are the 6-foot-long giant ones that you see. Okay. So it was like basically a bastard sword size. The bastard sword, if we want to go sword nerdery, get ready. Bastard swords are actually more tapered and have a wider spine for penetrating armor with thrusting. And so a longsword would be just a wider blade. And, those blades varied. But a bastard sword is specifically more like a diamond cross section, so it's very stiff and much more tapered up. So you're going to grab it, half sword with it, and then try to jam it through their armor. So that a bastard sword is a thrusting weapon.
Okay, so
primarily
a gladius is what category then?
Short sword.
Short sword. Sayax, Viking sayax. Its own category.
It could be a dagger or dirk or short sword depending on its length.
Okay.
Right. So because in the book in D&D it says 18 inches is a short sword.
What is an arming sword? Bent Metal asks.
Arming sword would actually be that's a historical would a long sword and a broadsword both fit in the arming sword category. It's just that depending on the blade geometry, depends on whether it's better at cutting or better at stabbing or trying to get a balance between both.
Okay.
So an arming sword would be a sword that you'd wear on your hip, 3 foot to 40 inches long, easily, a single hand sword. Something you could carry around and easily.
The most prototypical sword in the medieval times is what category in D&D? Bastard sword?
No. I'd say typical.
Yeah, typical for what was going on with the knights and
arming sword. Like an arming sword, but an arming sword would be basically long sword.
You'll be a long. Okay, so long. So he kind of got it right.
It doesn't. I would say if a long sword doesn't have a point on it, a real good thrusting point on it, a decent thrusting point, it would be in a broadsword category.
Okay.
So depending on your style of whether your guy is, I think most Viking type swords, they tended to be a little bit not really super tapered. They tend to be broader. And we're speaking generally, not, obviously there's going to be outliers, but so I would throw a sword primarily used for cutting and not thrusting, a broadsword.
Pat, Sam answered this, but an arming sword's thicker than a rapier, correct? Way thicker.
Rapiers are actually not really what people show as rapiers often. A lot of times, even in museums, they'll say it's a rapier when actually it's a cut and thrust sword. So a cut and thrust sword is a sword that's can cut, but it's really, really good at thrusting as well, but it has an edge on it. A true rapier will probably not even have an edge on it. Maybe an edge within the 4 to 6 inches from the tip, but generally it won't have an edge. It's basically a 40-inch spike on your fist. So you're boxing with a 40-inch spike, and you're just trying to stick it into that person and kill him.
So here's my question. Are cavalry swords from the Civil War era and back rapiers?
No.
They're sabers.
Yes, I would put them in the broadsword category.
Category.
Or scimitar.
Okay.
It depends on how you're measuring a scimitar. And,
okay.
But it's definitely not rapier. Rapiers would be... Some rapiers, they had triangular cross sections. Some of them actually had star cross sections to add to the stiffness because they wanted you didn't want it to be yielding. You want it to be very, very stiff.
Cool. So I knew Tim would have a wealth of knowledge on these topics, which is awesome. So how do you think Gygax and them got it so that it's playable, at least with all the different categories?
I think they were picking the categories that made it fit into a game and was accurate as it needed to be. I mean, I don't like the term longsword because there's actually a historically termed longsword and but there's a historically termed bastard sword. I'm sure they wanted to differentiate between a broad cutting sword versus a thinner, longer blade. And they just used the term longsword.
Okay.
If they could have done arming sword, and it would have done the same sort of thing, I guess. But
Okay. And the Princess Bride, those two swords that they're dueling with,
or not rapiers.
they are longsword category.
Cut and thrust.
Cut and thrust
swords.
Cut and thrust.
Because a longsword will chop your shit off. I mean, you will. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. I've seen a video of a guy cutting a deer carcass with a longsword, and
I thought that was you.
I cut a leg off with a short sword.
Oh, with you got an angel sword, right?
Yeah. I used it's 3 foot long sword.
Okay.
Easily cut right through the bone of his legs, like butter. But a long sword, but a cut and thrust sword, I may not hack your arm off with it, but I'm going to cut you to the bone with a good cut. With a good cut, but it's light and very, very wieldable, so that I can easily get thrusts in there.
Excellent.
I have a sparring one. I have a padded one that I use when I'm training people and sparring with it. I like to dance around. I'm like finesse, and I dance around like I'm being silly, but I also terrorize them at the same time. So
yeah, I did it once with Tim and never again. With all the gear on, no. I got my ass kicked. All right, so cool, Skag. They're going to meet up with Anna in Sweden. That's awesome to hear. Hopefully, you guys, yes,
very cool.
Because Anna's still in Sweden. All right, so that's good education to know that they picked a lot of weapons, and we know in Arcana they bring in all the pole arms and show them all and pictures of them all.
Yeah.
And it went back to this Spectre Corbin discussion where
I kind of think, and I don't think you should have to be a proficient with one kind of pole arm. I think pole arm should be the category that you're proficient with, because they all basically do the same thing to some degree or another. Some are better at thrusting, but they all thrust.
Yeah, well,
some are better at chopping.
Even a halberd thrusts. Right?
Yeah.
But it does, yeah.
They all have variations, and the critical mechanics behind how to use them remains the same. There's small difference.
Pole arm is not spear category, right? Spear is separate.
Spear is different.
Okay.
Spear is different.
Ranseur.
Right. Once you get to a Spetham or a Ranseur, those are spear-like, but those spear blades are really wide, which gives you weight, so you can do chopping kind of things with it that spears aren't necessarily great at. Plus, you can throw a spear.
Right.
So I think the weight difference would make it where a spear should be different, but I think a pole arm, I think you should be able to be proficient with a pole arm. Maybe you specialize with a specific named pole arm. That makes sense to me. But I mean, I can't use a Lucerne hammer because I can use a halberd.
Understood. And with the fighters, I think we've done a good job, and not using kits, because kits are secondary, but making them at least get a little flavor where you have. I love hey, if it's not a real weapon, I don't care, but I love the Great Mace. I love the two-handed mace run. It may probably never existed, right? Because flails existed, but
Well, I know it's in Oriental Adventures.
Okay.
Tetsubo is an iron-bound staff. I don't see why it wouldn't exist. Okay. When actually a flail, a Morning Star is pretty much similarly the same thing.
Right.
If a 4-foot piece of wood with some iron spikes and iron stuff at the top.
Great Mace in India too, Will says. A question back a little bit was Conan's sword in first movie, bastard sword or something else?
Conan's sword in the first movie was a sword that belonged to giants. So it was a single-handed giant's sword. So the actual real sword, I think, weighed 7 pounds, which far pushes it way outside a normal human's weight. They wouldn't use a sword that heavy, but it's Conan, and he's using the giant. Remember that he was in the tomb,
right?
And that it was hard to tell it was a giant, but it
Right,
was a
I didn't
giant
know that.
skeleton.
Right.
And then when he took the sword, it belonged to the giant. So it was a two-handed for him, but for the giant, it was a one-handed.
So it's a special category.
So I
Two-handed
mean,
sword.
it's 7 pounds. I'd put it in the two-handed sword category just for the weight.
Good question. Good
That's
answer.
ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I did not know that.
Heavy.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
Did not know that at all. So yeah, those who read the story knew what it was supposed to be. Well, I've watched it 100 times, and this is the first time I ever found that out. So you taught me something right now, Tim. I did not know. There's some questions about flails and balls and chain morning stars because the actual effectiveness. All I know is I saw in Braveheart the one guy, the father, swinging that thing around, not lopping heads. I was like, wow, did that exist back then?
If there's a great scene, I'm going way back. El Cid with
Right.
Charlton Heston. He's being pursued by a group of horsemen, and he turns around he's got a horseman's flail. So he's got the
Small
handle
one,
with the
yeah.
chain with the ball.
Right.
And he rides right back in the middle of them and goes to town. And it's a great scene. It's plausible, and he just goes to town on everybody, swinging away. I think, we can get caught up in the physics of which is the most efficient. But sometimes if I can hit and I get it to swing over your shield or swing around something, it can come in at odd angles to be unpleasant, So
yeah, I'm just putting this in. Skaggs just put in his options for categorizing. Here's a great thing once again, and this I love the direction this discussion's going. DMs, take what you want from the discussion and tweak it for your game. Like you're like, I don't need falchions. Falchions are stupid. Or or Khopesh swords. Does a Khopesh
very
sword
historical though? Very historical.
Khopesh. I probably said it wrong. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying. I'm using that as an example. Well, Claymore is going to be the same as Bastard Sword. It's going to be the same as and that's okay. Because you want to keep it simple, stupid for your players, or you want to make it as detailed as possible. Go ahead and do that. So I wanted to talk about this real quick, and that is. This changes the damage, the damage fall right here, because it's usually it used to be every 10 foot was die 6. This
right.
Yeah.
This one has you exponentially getting faster.
Yep.
I think it's an unnecessary unpleasantness.
50 feet, yeah. So I hate to do this, but I'm going to talk about that stupid Kevin Costner movie where he's the Coast Guard guy, whatever, the Guardian or whatever. And in the movie, he says, if you fall 50 feet, you're going to, it's like hitting concrete and you're going to break bones. But if you fall 80 feet out of that helicopter, you're dead because your body can't take it from that range into water. And that's what reminded me of this table here. It was that far of a, it was called the Guardian, right? It was him and Ashton Kutcher. And they're talking about falling out of the hell. Yeah.
Well, I think.
And you should know from.
A lot of it depends. I mean, okay. I dropped from 40 feet high into water without a problem.
Yeah.
At all.
Right.
I mean, so I guess my feet started, 40 feet minus 5'10", so that's when my feet started. So, but. I don't think there's any. You can't say 100%. This is definitely the way it is because if you're going in feet first, your feet are pointed or your legs are crossed and your body's
in the proper position. Yeah,
right. But you belly flop on it, that could be a problem.
So this says damage from free fall or severe slope. This assumes you're not bouncing off tree limbs and things like that. It's still this is devastating.
Yeah. I think it's unnecessarily harsh myself.
Okay. Wow. You heard it from Tim.
I think 1 die 6 per 10 feet. Now, of course, they probably do. For Davilia, I'd use this chart. So you don't go like, hey, it's only 80 feet up. I swan dive off.
Yes.
You might do that. You'd be like, I can take 8 dice.
Yeah, 13th level Cavalier. So note everyone that Tim has a habit of using the telekinesis ability and major demons to a great effect. So
teleport.
Why don't cliff or high divers get hurt from the high dives? Because they're falling the right way, right?
That's because they're hitting the water. They're hitting the water in a point, and so they're going through the water. I think when you hit the water on a broad area, all that resistance is now being applied to your torso or to whatever is hitting the water. Instead of cutting through the water, you're smacking into the water and displacing that water. I mean, water will flatten bullets in like 2 or 3 feet. They stop moving. Bullets stop moving in like 2 feet of water.
Yeah, and Troy gets it right. The 50-foot thing is meant tissue damage if you got it wrong. So, yeah, absolutely. The military guys are here, Tim included, Troy, and know that you do not want to fall wrong at 50 feet. So, yeah.
You never want to hear the word fall.
Yeah. I mean, we all saw Orlando Bloom miss in Black Hawk Down miss the rope, right? We all saw that. Legolas missed the rope, and what happened from there. So, yeah. Hey, LJ, I didn't even see you on. Good to see you. Thanks on. You lurk away if you can, and hope you're doing well.
Like he had one job.
Yes, catch the rope.
Grab the rope. I mean, how do you? Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, understood. Because you were in at that time.
Yeah, I just don't.
But yeah, I'm just using that as a fall. Falling is not fun. So all right, let me go over to the Dungeoneer Survival Guide. So did you ever use this book?
I've used it, but I used it later in digital.
Okay, got it.
But yeah, it's good. Well, you know, I don't.
Curtis,
if I did,
Niles.
I don't know, Jay. If do you have it? Do you have it in hard copy?
Yeah.
How long have you had it? Have you had it for ever?
I don't know. Probably 20 years.
I remember looking at them, and I love it because, guys, ladies, remember that Thai soccer team that went into the caves?
Yeah.
Just to see some cool caves. And what was the biggest threat of these poor kids?
Water. Wow.
It rained.
Yeah.
I mean, it rained, and to get to them, guys had to swim through tunnels that were so narrow, they would have to take their tanks off, their air tanks, to fit through the narrow area to put their air tanks back on, right? And they would actually have to change their tanks on the way to swim in there.
And one died.
And yeah, and experienced people still die doing this. And that's what, I mean, to me, going into a dungeon, that's why D&D adventures are insane. They are absolutely crazy, insane people who do, this is insane. It's insane to do most of what they do.
Well,
so that danger should be incorporated.
Yeah. Cave diving is deadly. It's as deadly as go. I saw your post, Troy. That submersible, that's the craziest of all. I mean, to go down there in that thing. But cave diving is extremely dangerous. Extremely.
But if you are below the water table,
yeah,
you're going to most likely hit water.
Yeah.
And the only time you're not hitting water that's bad is when you're diving in caves that are in a higher elevation. So that I was thinking ahead of this talk, Jay. Mm-hmm. Where is the Underdark that the Drow live in?
It's under the water table.
Or is it in a risen?
Well,
it's
technically it's in,
but it's
the crystal mists and the hell furnaces. Technically, it's under those mountains. So
is it above sea level?
That's a good question.
Is it above the water table? Because
what you're saying is the cave system in the Underdark doesn't make that much sense.
Potentially, you could make it as dangerous as you want it to.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Maybe there's some areas where the water is fine, but
right.
Non-permeable rock keeps the water out. Be careful with that earthquake.
We're in a fantasy setting too, and the Underdark is some of the fun. I mean, come on, D1, 2, and 3 is some of the most fun we've ever had.
Right. I think it's easy to say that the Underdark is at a higher elevation than sea level, so water eventually will travel maybe through it.
Right. Okay.
And flood some of it, but definitely you should have flooding and people drowning in your dungeons. I mean, come on. People die in that stupid stuff all the time without orcs and goblins and and
it's something to consider. Another thing is the heat down there would be pretty oppressive too, which means it has to be magically augmented.
Yeah.
For this overdark.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. And I was looking at how deep we go. I was like, holy crap. You can only go like 2 miles before you're too hot to survive. People can't survive at that depth. But is that depth
Hey,
just
Mike.
underground?
Right.
Even if you're in a mountain range and you go 2 miles down, or if you vent it enough, is it fine?
Yeah. That's
I don't know.
well. Look, in the Underdark, there's a river you got to cross in that adventure, right? There's a
Yeah.
river, and the Towans are there, so there's water, and there's all those lake things that are on the map you never go to. And
Right.
rumored one of them's in Aboleth, the Aboleth
Well,
city.
and
Yeah.
in the Underdark, Night Below, there is a sea down there that in the Underdark.
Yep. Night
Although
Below.
I did note and make a change in the I think in the way it's written, it's cold. It's pretty chilly and cold. But I already made a note that no, it's not cold. It'd be very warm.
So this book's by Doug Niles, everyone, and we're trying to get Doug on because Doug wrote N1. Doug wrote one of the books for Secret Rock box set and this and a lot of other stuff, and we'd love to have him on. Yeah.
But I really like that drawing right there. I love
Yeah.
it because
It shows.
man, when you look at caves, it's just
Yeah, it's dangerous.
It's terrifying. And we cheat a lot with, like, for Jay, how easy is it now? I can look and see we go down, I can see where we're going because it's laid out in a beautiful table.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us are too inadequate at drawing to be able to encapsulate it. But I tell you, one of my favorite game sessions running out of memory, it was in college. I was in a classroom. I think it was the second place we had moved to we were playing straight 19 hours. And we finished in a classroom, and they're all at the various tables, and I'm up at the white erase board. And I remember because it had a 3D elements of sinkholes and tunnels off the sinkholes. And that was really fun to do, but I needed to have
right
something that big to be able to illustrate it because it was confusing.
I've seen some pictures of those sinkholes in Vietnam that are miles across, right? And there's a whole ecosystem that has evolved out that's different from the ecosystem above on Earth because of the limited light. But there's plenty. It's crazy, really amazing stuff. To see. And some of those, like that Belizean blue hole, they don't even know how deep it is in the ocean, right? And so I'm chicken. So the problems with a lot of those sorts of caves is easy to get in and out down, then you have to get back up. Yes, climbing waterfalls, slippery rock. Yeah, you're absolutely correct, Skagith. In
a published adventure, I think some of the underground stuff is pretty good. It was A4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The escape when you're down in these dungeons and you gotta like do the best you can, but there's one way to swim out, and there's a fork in the swimming out.
Well, you go
and if you don't have any alternate means, you just killed your character.
Hey,
it's like
Alex. No, I remember that. I remember I got out. I remember I played Hawk from Hawk and Kazumba because I took a scroll tube with air in it, and I went the wrong way, but then I was able to blow in, get some air out of the scroll tube. Yeah, I remember that, and that had to be 1984. I think it was 80. I think it was 83 or 84, Tim, when you ran that for us.
Did I ran that? Wow.
Yeah. And I got out because yep.
I did that. It's a big deal. Yeah. Running out of air, it's terrifying.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go through that in real life. So,
no.
Yeah, I am not. Like I said, I am. Hey, Ron, thanks.
No.
Ron, thank you so very much for coming to the meeting this morning. I really appreciated it. From Greyhawk Reborn, it meant a lot to me, and I know we got some good stuff coming up.
Best magic item ever, Necklace of Adaptation.
Yeah, that is one of the best. You're dead on right on that. There's a lot of great magic items that That reset. Oh, that's a Warhorn. That's wrong. That was from Greyhawk Reborn's the fundraiser. I didn't realize it wasn't updated. Sorry there, Ron, on that. But yep, yeah, it wasn't even thought back then. And that's where these books are from '86, and they give you thought processes on this. And this is just, look, here we go. Holdings One Breath is right here.
Yeah.
So
And if you're running a dungeon that you're making, put a 3-dimensional problem in it.
that's a good point.
And say, oh, your character didn't take mountaineering as a skill set. I guess, how is that guy climbing? Because if you're a fighter, how are you climbing? Well, you could be mountaineering, which is, technical climbing with pitons and equipment. So you're going to need a couple trunks with your equipment. You didn't plan for that?
That's crazy. Also,
three-dimensional. And then, of course, there's,
here it is.
in the natural world, we don't have, giant bats flying around that want to eat you, or sturges that want to sit on your back while you're clinging to the cliff face and just start sucking your blood, and you can't do anything about it because you can't let go. That's a great dilemma.
A great idea. Yeah, imagine doing it in plate mail.
Oh yeah, it would be tough.
Yeah,
it'd be hard. But I mean, we used technical rock climbing with pitons and this stuff in, again, it was in the Underdark game, because one of the characters had mountaineering, and because those characters those were characters that my friends in college had used. That was their characters who were running that game. It was the same sort of scenario, and they had those skills because they used them.
Yeah. So Curtis, of course, Tim is remembering all the nasty things he's done to players. Yes. And if you never heard it, I'm scarred for life, because Kazumba's scarred for life. In the Wizard of Id, he comes down the steps, and there's a guy just strapped on a slab, and the zombies who don't get tired whipped the guy's feet off. And that was just one of the most disturbing things.
They had wire whips, and they were just sitting there whipping his feet.
It was one of the things can't get it out of my mind. So
yes, you're welcome.
Yes. Yes, but bags of holding are rare, Pat, and that's the thing. Yeah. Look at the low. Yes. I've been having to deal with this since 1980, everyone. Now you get it. So
hey, I also laugh when the characters do really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've had low-level characters with a well-laid plan ambush a party with some higher-level guys and a bunch of men-at-arms, and they schooled them. They, took it to them because they planned it well, and they had a good plan, and they executed it well. There's always some things that kind of can go haywire, and there's variables, but I would always reward them if they stuck to the 4 principles of patrolling. I always let them planning, reconnaissance, control, and security, with common sense overarching all of it.
So here are Tim's skills. A lot of these cross over with me.
Yes.
Yes, all the way down to Hero's Fate.
Yeah, I might have wordsmithed 1 or 2.
Yeah. Yeah. These are ones we use in the game here.
I did add.
Yeah, and you can see where the change is right here. All these.
Yeah. I added a few things to. I can't read it in the
4 Fs blue. Yeah. So he has Mighty Shot. All right. He has Quick Draw, Rapid Reload, Sharpshooter, Street Fighting, Strike to Injure. Now that only Tim has it only works on the way his crit tables work. His work differently than mine.
Right, because my crit table is the higher you roll, it's scaled. So the higher the number, the worse the crit. And so if you roll a level 8 crit, you can, or Strike to Injure allows you to make it level 9 because you're ruthless. So
my question to you is, do you allow the Archer class, and do you allow them to use these skills with it?
Yes.
Okay. They don't get that many proficiencies anyway. They have very limited proficiencies.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Sure shot.
So I mean, like Mighty Shot means you just get +1 on your damage, kind of like you can in melee.
Right. Which is up here, which is a precise we have, which is in lieu
precise attack,
which is in lieu of specialization. So I allow in my game thieves, thieves, clerics, miscellaneous classes. If they want to burn a slot just to get a +1 hit or +1 in damage, they can do that because they can't take weapon specialization. So
And now I will say unabashedly stole those from Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. The Mighty Shot is direct theft. Mighty Missile, which is for spellcasters, they get a bonus on damage for their missile spells.
That's nasty. +1 damage of any magic missiles. That's per, so it's each magic missile is 3 to 6 instead of 2 to 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
Quick draw. Now, rapid reload.
Yeah.
If you are proficient with a bow, it's kind of you automatically get it.
Okay.
So part of your proficiency is being able
That's
to
why you can shoot 2
fire.
arrows in a round. Is that
That's
what
why
you're
you can shoot 2 arrows. So if you're not proficient with a bow, you fire once, and then your other half action is to reload.
Is that also with throwing hand axes?
Yeah, if you're not proficient.
Okay.
But if you're proficient, you can throw 2 around. It's kind of It's like an add-on, and you get it because you're proficient.
Neat. Sure shot, fast hands. This is so I haven't gone this direction. I kind of like this barrel touch, which I use for because first off, we use spectral hand a lot in our game. So spectral hand is a big thing where it adds a +2. Necromancers get it, and a lot of evil priests can use it, and they can take that fake hand and they can touch through it. And that they get a +2 to hit and a -2 on saves, but this enhances it further. Fast hands +4. That's interesting. So, do you get another shot if you have a crossbow's speed?
Yeah, because a crossbow speed it loads itself. Right. So a heavy crossbow speed is the best ever.
Yeah. Are you doing die 10s and die 8s in your damage or your crossbows?
Yeah, I am. I do. Now I will do for specialization with a bow, I do allow the point blank range double damage. If you are a longbow and you're specialized, and you're shooting 3 rounds, you get up to shoot 3 times a round, you only do 1 die 6 because you're not able to get the full draw. The full draw on a longbow takes more time because you're drawing it so far back. Right. If you're getting 3 shots, you're trading speed for the power. So you're going to only do 1 die 6.
Pat, I don't know if anyone has those Chinese auto-loading crossbows like in Hawk the Slayer in them.
It's in the Oriental Adventures.
It's in Oriental Adventures, I know. But I've never allowed them.
Oh, the automatic ones? No.
Now, there is a wand of automatical missile fire. Tim knows where is the wand of automatic missile fire from? Let's see if the audience knows. Anyone? I mentioned it a couple weeks ago.
Who wielded it?
Who wielded it too? The wand of automatic missile fire. No one? That's a tough one. It's in a cartoon.
It's in a cartoon.
Mm-hmm. Phineas Fingers is correct, Michael. Yes, it's in Phineas Fingers.
Now, who was the name?
Yes, I sure got it. Board Flack with his machine gun he pulls out of the bag of holding.
Here, hold my Foster Grant.
Yes.
Now raise your hand if you've ever fired a Thompson submachine gun.
I know you have. Oh. It's okay, Dale. Yes. How's the kick on that thing? Is it like hard to hold?
It actually is surprisingly more than I expected it to be, and that's because it actually fires from the open bolt. So it's got it's technical. You can fire from the closed bolt or the open bolt. And in this case, it fires from the open bolt. So when you pull the trigger, the bolt slides forward, catches the bullet, loads the chamber, fires, and comes back. And that bolt sliding every time actually gives you a lot more felt recoil than I expected. The AK-47 fires from the open bolt. All your belt-fed machine guns fire from the open bolt. Your more sophisticated submachine guns fire from the closed bolt.
What do we have on here? All this color coding. What do we have? What is this?
Moving along.
Yes. Let me just try and get this over here. All right. What do we got? What is this?
All right. So I stole from the internet a great selection of non-weapon proficiencies.
Okay.
With a giant collection, and I thought, I'm going to go through here and select the ones I like. And then I put them on a list. And some of this matrix I stole, like the first 3 columns, I guess, and then I
Right.
kind of assigned it categories, like where would this thing fit in. I have a
Okay,
wilderness,
Bones.
and I can't read it right where it is. Let me see. I'll open it
Yeah,
right here.
yeah. It's wilderness, dungeoneers, survival guide, general, court, artisan, adventuring. They're types, right?
Right.
There are
So
types certain
types of,
classes can take.
yeah, types. Uh,
Like a fighter's can't take an academic, right? Is that
Correct. An
yeah?
academic would be your clerics and your magic users, your people that have been school trained, have some sort of serious education. And that could also be someone who's not a magic user, a maester for like Bill's character class, a
Right.
maester, or even just somebody who's a scholar and somebody highly educated. If you had an NPC that was a merchant, but he's highly educated, or a sage, or depending on what you know
Very cool.
what style of game you play. Um, so some of these are just to fill out NPCs, like an artisan special.
Right, right. It tends to
You
be.
really don't need that too much. Although maybe your guy has a background and he's a hobby. He loves making canoes, fine wooden canoes, and so he wants to be.
So you have a main attribute: intelligence, wisdom, strength, charisma. What's this?
Yeah,
Yeah, good.
I again that most of these were stolen. Like I don't pay attention to the slots
Hmm.
because I stole some of this from
Okay.
or it's already pre-existing. But the attribute that governs it will be like if you have to make a test using that skill, that's the attribute you would
Okay.
generally.
Really cool. There's a lot
Um,
here. There's a lot.
and so like the category of ranger would be like an outdoorsman. And so
Hmm.
if the if you might be a fighter, well, fighters not like that, but if you want to be a fighter, but you say, hey, he's really an outdoorsman, his family is, you could say, all right, well then you don't select from the warrior options, you select from the ranger options. But
And some
obviously,
of them
ranger
cross
would be
over. Yeah.
scouts, your rangers,
Right.
bandits.
Bandits could have ranger and rogue capability, right? They could have access to when the
Yeah,
class comes up, right? Yeah.
yeah.
All right. And that's a neat. It's a neat con. And
And
what's
then
about
if you were a cavalier, you would have court
right?
and warrior,
Okay.
as well as I guess the general one. But I would argue if you're a cavalier, I would argue you could actually take something in academic, depending, because you should be highly educated if you're a
Okay.
cavalier. If your family had money and you grew up that way, if you're entitled, then you should probably be highly educated, and you could be more educated than the average.
Excellent. It's a cool table. What in general is exactly that? But what is the mod here? It says modifier
Modifier.
to skill check change
Yeah.
because it's
Some things
something
are
that's still more
harder than
difficult. Yeah.
some things are harder than other things. Those 3 columns were stolen straight out of
Yep.
wherever I
Spelunking is
plagiarized
spelled
this.
yes. Spelunking is spelled wrong. That's all right.
I didn't spell it that way. That's the way it came in there.
Yeah.
How do you spell spelunking?
It's Spelunk. Right. Spelun. Spell lung. Maybe it is spelled right and it just looks that way with spunk. Well,
Spell,
it's yeah, you got it. So it's
spelunking.
great though. So this is Tim's master list, and then off of this, it goes and it talks. I'm sorry, there's subcategories. Wait a minute, a working list and proficiency. Your tables for your class. It's all here. So you've really done a good job in mastering it up. Are knights and cavaliers similar or totally different? The class in my game is totally different. The knight is a hybrid of a cavalier and a specialty priest in my game because they get
I would say,
spells.
yeah, but it's a variance on a theme. Culturally, they're probably very similar.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Culturally, class wise, they're different. And I took that from third edition when I saw this prestige classes like the Knights of the Holy Shielding, and I said, this is a class that fits perfectly for Greyhawk, having knights. So I have Holy Shielding. I have the Knight of the Chase, which was written uh, was it Luby? One of the three our British friends wrote it for Living Greyhawk, Knight of Ulick, Knight of the Heart. So we have those. So, yep. But Cavaliers and Knights are very different in my game class wise, but probably in this they're probably the same. How do the pre skills work? Pre skills. Val, you might want to elaborate a
Well,
little
I
bit.
mean, there's a there's a skill called religion.
Master Order has no X's. Public speaking pre. Yeah.
Public speaking is a prerequisite.
Yeah, so it has no X's here. So you have to get you have to be public speaking, which is not here. Charm pre.
Oh, maybe
Charm.
I added that in there.
Yeah, maybe he was still working on it. Charm pre. There, charm's general.
Yeah,
So it should be general.
yeah.
General skills. Well, cavaliers are prancing on their ponies. Knights get dirty. Work done. Yes. So there you go. So it is a
I've
charm.
noticed a couple other in there that are missing.
Yes.
But
Well, remember, this is a Tim thing. It's always a work in progress with changes. We all like that. We all have our tables that change, subject to change. Yeah, absolutely. I tried reaching out to both Chuck and just to see. Oh, there's Ron there. So yeah, I hit the wrong thing there, Ron. On that, thank you. I'm a member of that. I will update that.
Now, I will say
Yes.
that the one additional thing I have there's a Word document that has descriptions for each of the skills
Yes.
that fit in. And the one that's most different is academic knowledge. Because if you take academic knowledge as a skill, you actually get 3 different subjects.
Oh, okay.
There's
This
a
one
whole
here.
host of different ones that
This
you
one
can.
here. Yeah. Okay.
That it's in that Word document that went in there. So there's a host of all sorts of different things, and it's based loosely on the classical study. Now, did I send you the?
I don't think you did. Yeah. So if we got Tim has any good DMs.
Anyway, it's a huge. It's too much to go into. Really, it's huge. But
it can add some really cool flavor to your campaign or to
I think reading and writing. If you don't take it as a non-profession, you can't read unless you have the skill.
Right.
Most people couldn't really read.
No,
and that's what sets you apart from being educated. You can actually read and write. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and it's in general. So,
and
lots of good stuff. Are any of these automatic? Like, does a cleric automatically get religion?
Yes.
So some of these are already.
So So like, as a magic user gets higher enough level, he's automatically going to get potion making, right? Or craft potions or potion craft. He's automatically going to get scroll lore or scroll craft. But you could take him early. So you can write scrolls early if you want to give up a slot, a proficiency slot to do that. Mnemonic enhancement is one where basically you get an extra spell.
It's extra spell slot.
Yeah, extra spell slot.
Yeah.
And then you get that automatically as a single class mage, right?
Right. Yeah. In my game, a single class mage.
And I like that, so I do that too.
To add to the amount. And I'll tell you where that comes from. First thing, question. Pat says, "Have you ever used the Arthurian mythology and such to make an order in your game?" Order of Ulick, I thought it was going to be based on the Arthurian knights, and then I said it's too restrictive. Because we'll have characters with classes, so I made it alignment based other than knight based, right? I wanted it to be open so that multiple classes and multiple characters that were played were not out, because it was going to be the main thrust of the campaign for all these years, for 40-some years. So that's where I stopped going an Arthurian based, where it was you had to be a certain noble, you had to be a nobleman, right, to join the order, and I was like, I didn't want to. It just didn't work. It didn't work for our play style. So, good question though. Real good question. Yeah, well, of course, priests of Ralshas are Catholic neutral choice, so they can't be a member of the Order of Ulick, right? They're not.
Or
good.
Can they?
No, no. So, Tim is oh God. So what was I saying before that? Holy jeez. My God, my brain just went completely numb. What were we talking about? Not knighthoods. Shit, Tim. Brain.
What did you do?
I forgot what I was going to say on that. I said I was going to do this, but then I wanted to answer Pat's question first.
Pat.
Yes, it's my own fault. It's my own fault. So I take with this dude. Yeah, figured out Tim's a good. Leaning toward good isn't good alignment. Have to be of a good alignment. So you have to be neutral good, cat good, or lawful good, and we still use alignments in our game. That's one of the reasons why we'll always have alignment in with knighthoods and things like that. Okay, so yes. Let me close out a couple of these things. So note, Mayan are always. Here comes Blue Box in from their second game today. Thank you very much,
Allah.
John and crew. I got the ever mysterious Tim on, and Steven Chenault's supposed to be on shortly to talk about what's going on in the world of Troller Games. Great to see you all. Hey, Vamp, thank you. Good to see you all. Thank you. Sit tight and enjoy. We're having a nice discussion on skills and the Dungeon and Wilderness Survival Guide with Tim. And we're going to go into some other more fun things coming up. So, what other questions does the audience have, or Tim? What other comments do you have on the skill system that you use?
I just actually I'm sending you the other thing that I thought.
Right, but if I open it, I have a shot of crashing the whole stream.
Well, don't do that.
Yes. That's like Anna. Anna goes, "I'll just send it to you." I'm like, Anna, I can't open it in the middle of a stream, man. You know,
it's just a Word document.
Just a Word doc, yeah.
That's fine, but it has the full giant options for all sorts of academia, and that's fun to have. And
we're talking about off this, so and that is this skill here, academic knowledge.
How
many different academic skills do you have in there?
There's at least 50 different subjects. Individually, they fall into subcategories, like magic theory. Well, there's all sorts of shit tons of theories, and what are you studying? And that allows you to add into your game forbidden knowledge. Well, what knowledge is it? It doesn't exist as a skill, so what's forbidden? Nothing is. And then so if you study necromancy, let's say you only know necromantic theory, you find a book you want to read, somebody reads it, they find you with that book, they'd be like, this guy's a necromancer, he's got, then you can get him in trouble. Anyway.
Now my shout outs are bjorked. And that was nothing anyone did here. So they're not working all of a sudden. Oh my God. It's one of those days. Look, I tried doing some shout outs, they're just not working. So it'll have to go auto. So note, for everyone who came in new, we're doing a giveaway from Troller Games, which is really cool, and that is the PDF of Kickstarter. The 3 new books for the Armories Kickstarter. It's $25 value. When the Kickstarter hits, you will get these 3 sent to you in PDF. So maybe a little while, but it's still worth it. If you're already in and you already are in the Kickstarter and you win, I will change out to a $25 gift certificate to Troller Games. No big deal.
I might have to step out to go pick my son up.
That's fine. You can do that. I'm trying to figure out where Steven is, because he was supposed to come on in hour 2. So, but Tim, this was really a really good discussion. I really appreciate you. Thank you for coming on here and talking.
It was fun. It's given me some new ideas.
Absolutely, and that's the whole point of the discussion here is to note that skill system, and we can talk about mine a little bit, and I'm going to go and we'll talk about the Maester a little bit, how that's developed.
I got to remember that exponential damage when falling, just for your character.
Yes, oh my gosh, yeah. Or drowning, because aren't we going to do a ship-based one next?
You will be on ships for some of it, yeah.
Guess what? Bracers only, no armor. You're scared.
Now, I will tell you too, armor. I'm adding some additional scope to the game. Depending on the type of helmet you're wearing, affects your dexterity bonus. Like if you're wearing a great helmet, you're not getting a dexterity bonus. However, wearing a great helmet reduces crits to the head by 5 levels.
Wow.
So you're not going to decapitate somebody who's wearing a great helm, because a great helm is covering their whole head, neck and everything. So, but you're sacrificing stuff. You're not able to move as well, and not be able to see as well, and you're not be able to perceive as well, but it's hard to cut your head off. So your armor, especially the heavier metal armor, is going to be sliding the crits down, because you don't cut through it like in the movies. This is the reason they invented it.
So I am checking. Chuck thinks that Steven's power is out in Arkansas right now due to a storm, but he's checking.
Hey,
But
I was actually out during the lightning storm today. I mean, it was raining, right?
right,
I
in
didn't see
Philly, yeah.
lightning. I saw flashes. I was out for about 10 minutes and I was counting how many flashes, and I saw 50 in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Legit. So I'm gonna have to step out.
Please, thank you so very much, Tim. I got
All right.
it from here. Have a good one. We'll talk to you soon. See you soon. Have a good night. The ever mysterious Tim, everyone. Oh no, I went boop, 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 boop. So I have to go over to back to this screen so that this doesn't so that we doesn't keep this. So all right. So right now, Steve, this is the kind of stuff that happens. So I'm going to let me do this then. Let's improvise, overcome, and adapt here as the yeah, it appears. J to infinity and beyond. You like that? Yeah, I gotta figure something out here. So let's go to the Kickstarter. Okay, so far, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But let me go to Kickstarter. Let me go here. Let me go here. All right. So this is the project we're talking about. Let me hide that one up here. Let me hide this window so we don't drive everyone crazy here. So let me go this, down, 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 down. There we go. Okay. Ta-da! All right. He's I would Troy, but Chuck's the one dinging me on my phone right now because he's trying to get in touch with Steven and he thinks they're a power outage. I'm going to risk one thing here. If you give me a second. I'm going to check. I have a special Skype set up with him. Let me open it. Hopefully, I don't crash the screen having another Skype up. So now that's back up. Yep, 650 straight line winds, 80 miles an hour. Just lost power. Yep, that's 30 minutes ago. It's in here. Sounds good. He was ready to come on, and then straight line wins. Yep. I went into the Skype, and that's where it is. So let me exit out of this. One of those nights, huh? All right, it's off. So, yeah. Next man up. Chuck. I love to have Chuck, but Chuck's not home to log in. So I'll be okay here. Any of you who are regulars and want to hop on and help, you're more than welcome to. Will or anyone else, if you guys want to, the Zoom number, you can always hop in as well. If you want to participate. So here is the goal. Here is what we're talking about. The Adventures Armory. 30. It's got 10 days to go. It's really interesting. What they have, and there's 3 books: The Castles and Crusades, Adventures Armory, the Monstrous Army, and the War Mounts. And the winner of tonight's giveaway is going to get one of these 3. And here's the Adventures Armory book. So yeah, I know it's all good. It's all good, man. Adventures Armory. Why didn't that come up? The Monstrous Armory. It came up twice. And also the War Mounts book. For the winner of this, it's just digital. It's 25, right? It's just digital for this. So those are the 3 books. The pages on this are pretty extensive. Look, 250 pages estimated for the Adventures Army, 128 pages for the for the Monstrous, and 30 pages for the War Mounts, which is a soft cover book. So if we're talking about the giveaway we're going to do tonight, if you look up here, it's this one right here, PDF only. That's a 25. Here's the one I did to complete. This is hard. This is both PDF and print of all 3. Just right here. Just so you're aware. That's the one I pledged to. Right. There's 282 in that, but that is, unfortunately we don't have Stephen, with what happened. 36, yeah, unlocked. Here we go. Thank you there, Dale. I appreciate that. Good asset of all the culture's weapons when combined with the Mythos series of books. It looks like a really good setup that's going to be useful in no matter what game system you're playing, and that's why I really liked this one. Um, just once again, we're talking about skills. We're talking about other weaponry. That Tim talked about variety is a good thing, right? So Davis might be standing out gnomes as weapons too. His a grudge against gnomes. Well, everyone has a grudge against gnomes now that Bigby's a gnome now too. So they're adding deadly human weapons to the monster book if they get to 43,000. Well, that was part of why Steven was coming on tonight, there, Dale. So, yeah, odds are that's not happening now with that issue coming up. But we're going to talk about some other things here too. So we got some time here. Notes. Charlie Games, everything I do is wonderful. I support them 100%, and I'm looking forward to getting this down the road here. And like I said, someone tonight will win this, and we'll get this when it comes out, and you will be eligible right then and there. We'll send you the PDFs when that happens. All right, so that is for Castles and Crusades, their Kickstarter. All right. I talked about some other things at the beginning. Let's go back there. Give me one sec here. Let me go to GrowCon. So, I don't think you were on, Troy, at the time I did this. Let me see. Let me take this off here. I got way too much up. Way too many things on the screen. Give me 1 second here. There we go. Okay. All right. Friday. It is Friday. If you haven't, and I think the shoutouts are working again. Is that what I saw? Yep, good. So we come over here, and this is Virtual GrowCon. We had a meeting this morning. There was nine people, 2 from Growk Reborn, some streamers, Josh Pop, Jimmy Duffy. Bones, a lot of people showed up for this, which was fantastic. So if we go, we're going to go to tabletop events. So this is where you're going to go. It's linked. It's on. If you're not a member of the Virtual GrowCon Discord, you may want to sign up for that now. There's that, and then we'll after this we'll talk about the great new publication that's out too. So here it is, Virtual GrowCon. The goal is 75 events you could sign up for this year. Which will surpass the record of last year. Growk Reborn will have events. Troller Games is going to have events. We're trying to get some great big names. Alan Growe's definitely doing some events. A lot of streamers are doing multiple events. The Joust will be back. Tim's Reverse Dungeon will be back. There'll be a lot of really great things. It's going to be Friday when I wake up. Remember, these signups, you can't sign up for events here, so the rush is not on. I may turn it on if the game goes late Thursday night too. Good question, Chris. If the game goes late, I may just turn it on when I go to sleep that night, right? And then you guys can sign up. But this is not a sign up for events. This is a registration and to put in events. So the sign up for events starts, and the big one would be Saturday, August 19th at 12 noon Eastern. That will be when people can sign in for events. So we got a month and a half out of getting a registration and getting events submitted. All right. So that's a good question. Did Tim decide if he was? Yes, Tim's running his Reverse Dungeon. Absolutely. He's running at 7 a.m. on Saturday. I was thinking we started getting the schedule worked out for streaming too. It sounds like a lot of our streamers are going to be running some extra events, and they may stream them, but it just won't be highlighted. But they're allowed to stream them on their channel too, which is the whole point of everyone having it on their own channels. It won't affect other channels, which is cool. So note that that's the key dates. Now, Troy, thank you so very much. Here is, and if you weren't on at the beginning, here is this year's Virtual GrowCon artwork. Dan Smith once again commissioned. It's in here we go. Adventures in Greyhawk this year. It is an ode to this, right? An ode to this, to Greyhawk Adventures, and to that picture. Just it looks like that the tide turned on the two, and they're getting chased at that point. So, yeah, yes. With that, I already have these on order, but you must, you have to register to be able to order eligible to. But they're ready. They will be ready. Is the Retrograd Con 4 T-shirts? All right. So, Smith. He colored it too. Yes, Anna. I did all the lettering and all because Anna is in Sweden, so I had to get moving on this. So, yep, he did all the coloring. This is yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's really cool, isn't it? It's really nice artwork, and it is going to be. It's going to, it's good. It's good that we have it. We had it from the first 2 years, and I kind of put them in. If you take a look at the site, I put them in underneath here to remember. First year, Return to Boathouse. Virtual Con 2 is the first year we did artwork, and then last year we did the Ode to Secret of Bone Hill. Hey, Classic Sam, good to see you. I will be on Classic Sam's channel tomorrow night at 7 p.m. I'll be interviewed by Sam, and we'll see her tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. It'll be a fun discussion, and I'm looking forward to it. And we should have a blast on that. So thank you so very much for raiding in. Really appreciate it. So Virtual Con 4, please, if you can, sign up. We want to get in our events and sign-ups as early as possible to make sure we don't have any gaps, holes. I'm working on big names. I'm working on sponsors behind the scenes. But the meeting went great today, and we got a lot of commitments from a lot of individuals to really pump up extra for this year. So we're looking forward to it. Like I said, October 6th through the 8th. That's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we'll have some really cool giveaways during it and some great events. Big names that have already committed. Yeah, thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow. Really, I will. Yes, Dan is awesome. So names are already committed. We have Luke Gygax will be in the Joust. Alyssa Faden will be in the Joust. Eric Mona will be in the Ask the Experts. Roger Moore will be in the Ask the Experts. Malden, Ask the Experts. Todd Stashwick will either be in an event on Friday or in the Joust, depending on his commitment schedule. And we're working on some other people. So just to give you some names of some of those that will be participating in Virtual Con this year. So that is cool. Absolutely, my good friend Todd Stashwick, and he's also working on. I don't even want to go there. Working on some other individuals for a future game. That's all I'll say, and I am hopeful that happens sometime down the road. So there you go, my good friend. Yeah, Curtis is not gonna let me live that down. Let's talk what the community has done. How about that for the last 20 minutes? How's that sound before we do shout-outs? Shall we? Shall we? I think we shall. Of course it opened there. Dumb thing. One sec. There we go. All right. Out new. Please, if you so choose, anyone out there who has the capability, link where they can download this. This is a free, this is brand new from Cannon Fire. The group at Cannon Fire, let me shout out there. Yes, why don't we? It's open now. Let's do it. I will promote this. Absolutely. Visions of Greyhawk. So as we, why isn't it going? I think that's the wrong thing. Hold on. Yeah, give me one sec. That was just the cover. There we go. All right, there we go. All right. Why not? Hey, see you, Patrick. Visions of Greyhawk, Volume 1. So we got a 4 by Ewan Cummings, Sam, who's on, Paul Beal, Magic Items, Troy Alleman, Paul, hopefully I say your name right, Paul J, Troy again, Sam again, and Gary Holian. So we got some cool stuff here. And here's a good forward. Started design with Gary Holian to encourage people to develop and share Greyhawk material in a more lasting and accessible format than the backlog of online posts on Cannon Fire or Discord. Good point. Yep. And that's a good way to do it. So Really appreciate Norker doing that. What I'm looking for is submitted work is good writing and subject matters will be of interest to other Greyhawkers. You're open to crossovers, so I'm assuming. I am assuming that our friend there, Big Mac, will have some Spelljammer crossovers, some gray space things in here. Thank you for that follow. Hey Tino, thank you for the sub. All right, so yes, really cool. All right, Knights of Eventide. This is Arthar the Cleric. So that's all you'll know him by. Where's like I said, I have not looked at any of these yet. I've been too busy when I got home for vacation. I have not even looked at them yet. Great, yeah. Well, I have to do my my article on the specialty priest of Saint Benedor for next one as well. So I gotta get cranking on that. So the Knights of Eventide are Nyrond, right? There you go. So that's really cool. It's nice artwork. I don't know who did the artwork on this, but it's really fantastic. Really cool. You got a timeline here, hooks. Really cool. Adapted from the Player's Guide to Nyrond. So there, if you're a Nyrond adventurer, now you have something you can utilize here. Oh, really? It's awesome. Savage Baron, thank you very much. Here's an Appendix N. Kingdom Rules. This is by Sam. Prospero said the man at the table. These matters of statecraft weary me. Is all the fighting I have ever done never did. That's cool. Very cool. It's nice. It's nice. It's succinct. Some great artwork, and some good really cool ideas here. So this is on invasions, combat. Awesome. Yeah, ruling a kingdom. Something terrible happens. Well, oh, just running kingdom. Okay, thank you. And then events that happen off that. That's cool. That is really neat. Anyway, I see you're talking about Thrommel here, so that got my eye real quick there, Sam. Thank you. Yeah, that's really neat. You got and you got one here about Tensor, right? So macro campaign issues here, right? Which is neat. You got some good examples. Tensor, Archmage in the Circle of Eight member paces in his tower near Diva. It's been 2 years since the aftermath of the second expedition to the Isle of the Ape. Okay. So this is, once again, pre-wars. And despite some minor tests needing his attention, nothing truly worthy has come. Rolls 88, modified to 108 disaster, and ancient evil has reappeared in the Cane Hills. All right. Tensor gathers his magic items, goes to meet the other members of Circle 8 in the Crown Hills. This old tomb belonging to some warlord named Halmadar should be an amusing diversion for an afternoon, if not any great challenge for an Archmage of his caliber. So what you're doing is you're creating macro settings that can go into smaller adventures, which is neat. Really nice. Aquatic Norker. So Troy, did you do this to humor Norker? That's cool. Sea goblins. What are the hobgoblins? Yeah, what are the hobgoblins? Coalinths or hobgoblins? Is that correct? Ah, okay. Cool. Quack Norkers carry a variety of weapons. So you got man sized, yep. Hit dice a little higher than standard Norkers. Oh, you did it first edition rule set too. Aha. Copassinants are sea gargoyles. Okay. Oh, you got first and fifth in here. All right, cool. Now there we go. Quacknorkers love to hunt, killing as much for pleasure as for food. Blood in the water extends them. Where are they in the water in Greyhawk? Does it say? Does it have a location? Like, are they on the southern coast? Are they down near Sasserine, or so, or is it just it's a general temperate? Okay, so central, Woolly Bay. Cool. Green Zap. You're on too. Magic items. Sand Spitter, a Blade Tarash Mac. That's cool. Or Sentient Orcish Dagger carved from the horn of a basilisk. Eyes of Luna. Crystal Mist Cloak. I love that you take it in the ode to Greyhawk Adventures with the named items. Wand of the Raw Asher Cat. Nice. Oh, wow. So this involved change cats. Neat. Bitter Edge. Centaurs of the Dry Steppes. Harana was a dwarf living in the Iron Hills. Ah, dwarf wizard. Interesting. It's cool. Some cool artwork again. And it has so that contains. It's not even contains spells, which is cool. I'd always love those. Always love those. Animals of the Flannis. So that's a thing that you never think of in like real life. Like in South America, where they only had llamas, right? That was the only domesticated animal they had for hundreds and hundreds of years. There were no pigs, right? There was no other cattle or anything. It was just llamas. Goats and sheep. Something that's not thought about, right? That you don't think about, like where the domesticated animals are roaming about. I don't know if it's discussed that. Yeah, there were llamas that moved north, right? But there weren't, like in South America. There wasn't. They just didn't have. And I've always found that intriguing about the potato coming out, of that area. Llama cavalry, yes. All right, cool. Mastodons and mammoths. So, a question I've always had: how far back do you go from modern time monsters? Like, do we have saber-tooths roaming about in Greyhawk? What's that big Bacalurian? I can't remember the name of it. It's huge, right? It's like the predecessor to the moose. Yeah, Pleistocene. Okay, try to power where they had lived in Pleistocene. All right, cool. Because that's always been a question of mine. Like, do we have mastodons and mammoths running about in Greyhawk? Yeah, always is curious about that. Because once again, these could be dangerous animals too. Stag moose. Yep. Ground sloth. Cool. See, that's something I would have never even thought about for Greyhawk as a sloth. Yeah. Cool. Reptiles and amphibians. Frog, alligators thrive in the whole marsh swamp. Beavers. So some some usual. That looks like an axe beak right there, right? That picture. You got 8. Yeah. So it always yeah. That's the thing. Like, how far do you go? I mean, if we're talking Isle of Dread only, do we have dinosaurs beyond Isle of Dread, right? And a lot of people like don't want to do that conjecture wise. They don't want to have raptors running around Greyhawk, the main continent. But so terror birds, cavalry alongside llama. I love like the cockatrice riders, even though they don't ride them. I always love those kind of ideas to have like different mounts. Like I always love the lizard mounts from the Dark Elves. Um, you know, and there's always these miniatures of dwarves riding rhinos. I don't know if that's possible. Yeah, you know, but I guess or those huge boar, right? That they have dwarf miniatures in D&D. Chocobos, giant anteaters, especially. Yes, dire beavers. And once again, the animal summoning spells for rangers, I've always said they can't do dire animals, right? And they can't have. I don't know if that's an agreement that we all share that, but like a ranger is going to could maybe have a grizzly as a companion, but not a dire grizzly. So, yeah, rhinos, becklinish, unicorns. I want to see dwarves ride large war dogs like this. Those are huge. Dire pandas. So you got them at 3.5 stats, which always can be back converted. No big deal. Very cool. This is excellent. Nice. Public. That's public. Druid. Water druid, huh? Interesting. So, here's my question. Do we have a race table here? Is it sea-based creatures like mermen, Lokatha, even theoretically Sahagwin, or is it Exactal? Did I say that right? Or is it okay? It's open. So what land-dwelling human could do this, even though they're ship-based? That's what I'm asking. Or an elf. Okay. Cool. Really neat. So at level 2, you decide to go this way, this direction, way of the water. I'm assuming you get a water breathing ability, right? Pretty early. Manipulating water. Depth senses of the squid. Hey, why not? Alignment. If alignment's not in here, I think they could be neutral, evil, neutral, good. Right? If that's the way direction you were thinking there, Troy. Essence of the sheet, so wild shaping, you get an additional 10-foot swim speed. Okay. All right. 14th. 14th is really high level with Druid. That's grand, isn't it? Is that great or grand? I always get those two confused. That's real high. Cool. Yeah, neat, man. Healing Surge, Ink Cloud, Armor the Sea Urchin, Wall of Coral, neat spell. That's a cool spell. Shift Tides, Undertow, and they're 7th level, so you got to be 11th or 12th level druid to cast them. I think it's 12th level druid to cast in old school to cast 7th level spells, and you got your Hierophants coming out of them. Yeah, which are so rare. We've never had a Hierophant in my game because a lot of people don't play druids that high, and the experience tables are almost insane. But it would be cool to get one in there. So Hierophant Druid of the Azure Sea, you have one in here, so that's really neat. So thanks, Patrick. Thank you very much. That was really kind of you. That's cool. The work of the Hierophant Druid was always easy. So you got a Hierophant example here, and you got some, and Dan did all this artwork. All right, that's awesome. You got a Nixie, a Lizard Man, a Selkie. Wow. Oh, cool. An Aquatic Elf. Neat. Lastly, the great Gary Julian. Panzos the Cruel. Panzos, let's see here. Soul Survivors has its preeminent patron god, Panzos. All right. Excuse me for being ignorant a Gary creation or an obscure reference in a publication that Gary has developed? Panzos is a Soul god that Len had, or is god that I just curious. So, but that's awesome. Panzuriel. So is it the Gary reimagining of a powerful monster mythology? Got it. Thank you. Okay. The Kraken. It's the Kraken deity, right? It's the evil. Is that the one? The evil Kraken? All right. Got it. Okay. Thank you. So it's more demonic. Fits in as a Greyhawk power, though. It's kind of cool. All right. The profane worship of Panzer spans the length and breadth of the Sul diaspora, expressed from the cities of Dukshan and Echo, East Port Tully and Ponard in the west. From the ports of Blue and Highport in the northern Asia region to the Pirate Isles and of Denzak Gulf and points south. Okay. The Cruel One has a temple in Port Tully that is greatest the whole of the Asia Sea. This is not specifically, thank God, this is not a Scarlet Brotherhood deity, right? They may worship or revere this deity, but it's not exclusively to the Scarlet Brotherhood. So, demonic, daemons, yeah, probably daemon over demon. You're right. Panzos is the synchronization of a power known to the sea elves and other ocean peoples as Panzuriel. He talks about it right here then. So, okay. The ancient. All right, cool. Panzos is one of the most feared powers of the sea. I like it. It's something that if you're running sea-based adventures, you always got to be wary of what the depths, right? So, the Zid Exacto worship Demogorgon, don't they? So is this is Panzos an arch enemy of Demogorgon then? Or is that me, or is this a switch where the evil ocean dwelling the Sahagwan is severe cycler, but the Zid Exacto I thought worship Demogorgon, right? The evil rays. Is Panzos an enemy of Demogorgon then because of this? That's my question. Or is okay? Yeah, that's cool. So he can appear as a Soul. His complexion is always tinged green and gray. His once eye blues are clouded in cataracts. His blonde hair streak and often caked in slimy green seaweed. So it looks like one of the dudes from the Johnny Depp event. Yeah, okay. I'm kidding. He's dressed in a ratty garb and old buccaneer. Oh, maybe not. Often favoring black and gray colors. He always appears maimed with either a missing left foot or replaced by a peg brace. Oh, that's cool. Yep. An immediate god. Oh. So, enemy of Procan, Zerbo. Who else? He's not a true member of the Soul Pantheon, therefore has no formal relations with the other powers. Solitary god he's been underworker Sekala. His greatest foe is deep Sashalos doesn't make sense. Very wary of Procan. I'm answering my own questions now. Panzos feels hatred towards Zerbo and Osprey. Okay, makes sense. Also, an enemy toward elves, especially sea elves. These priests also despise other good neutral races of the ordinary worlds. There's Merfolk and Triton. So about Lakatha, I'm assuming them too. Yep. Excellent. Many priests of Panzos maim themselves to show their willingness to suffer as Dark Lord does. Ugh. Well, hey, Groom's one's pluck an eye out. So. Nice. Another Dan Smith there. The Murky Rake. Secret Society. International Thieves Guild with its own Cant Guild House and secret marks and ciphers. Where does I'm sorry if Gary's not on, but where does this fit with like the Crimson Fleet or anything like that? This is a separate organization, I'm assuming, or there may be members that are in the Crimson Fleet that are worshippers that are part of the Murky Rake. Okay, cool. All right, Jax famously survived the Battle of Medigia, which occurred in Area DC, summer 572. Man, this is this stuff that just like what a shame that this stuff couldn't be put out. We all like in the 90s, and just man, the wonderful, wonderful stuff that comes out of this. This is all the entire book is fantastic. The fan content is just coins of impressment. A final inducement, he is thought to own a dozen of these remarkable tokens. Rumors suggest they might have been distributed to him by Panzas. So once the matching coins left on the ship, sometimes hidden under masts, later concealed there. When the Jax spies a mark he wishes to make, he will make sure the coin finds its way into its hands. So once you, yes, it doesn't say if there's any way to break it once you fail. Is it until death? That's a yeah, I could use something like that. Oh, but who would I do it to? Yeah, that's pretty cool. It is a charm. Yes, charms can be broken. Net of entanglement, cool. Whip of constructing. I mean, it's just great, great content. You all did a fantastic job with this. 32 pages of wonderful content. Gotta leave Tim alone. Tim came on and really helped us out tonight with skills and all, and with Gary. I'm sorry, with us losing Stephen Chanel tonight due to a weather storm down there. Straight line winds knocking out his power. We did our best tonight. So walk the plank. Yeah, that's awesome. Great publication. I am excited myself to participate in the next upcoming one or two. And yeah, it's fun putting out content that everyone you can share with everyone. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing. I'm not going back to the other screen so we don't have that. Blah, 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 blah. All right, so what's going on? And then we'll do the giveaway. So exclamation point drawing, please let me know when you're in. But let's talk about what's going on. I'm back. So Mike and I, no Anna. I think it's just the two of us. We're going to go your top 10 personalities of Greyhawk on Wednesday. What we're going to discuss is exactly that, but we're going to pull out big names. So you may get some of mine, like Blade Storm and, Grimmy Fisher. We're going to talk the people are just in. Mike and I'll have lists. We'll have our lists, and then please participate. Feel free to tell us yours. We're going to remove Circle of 8 members. And big names that you can think of. Is Narf Gaskill big name? I don't know. Maybe. Or Aaron Toll. I think that would be good. Stuff from the Gore novels. I think any of those would be fine on personalities. Yeah, I'm not going. Moose, you never know. I'll probably stay away from Thrommel myself and go with some of the more obscure ones I like, and maybe one or two from my own campaign. And we'll have some honorary mention ones. It'll be a fun discussion there, and that'll be Wednesday. Thursday, I continue my Doom Grinder remake. Importance of a Great Apocalypse part. This is the 5th one. I haven't done one in over 50 adventures, by the way. So I think the last one was number 954, and we're on 1004. So thank you. Thank you, Patrick. Looking forward to getting back into this. As you all know, or maybe you don't, Ed Greenwood did a demigoddess of Ralashaz, Salakra, the fire, the fire maiden, with a C. And when the God Trap was reset from in Exhibitions Ruins of Greyhawk, it has now C lacquer imprisoned, and it kind of ties into that and my reworking of the Doom Grinder. So we're gonna continue that because I want to get to the point where I'm finished on that. So that'll be Thursday. Saturday morning. We do by request. We're gonna do a Vengeance of the Overgorge special. It's not Halloween, but Mike asked if I would run one. We have two brand new players to the camp that have never played the campaign before in this. So we got Mike, but we got Little Bird returning. We got Heather Hex returning, Tempest returning, Rob Phantom returning. Two brand new ones. We have Tara from Tara, and we have Zambies first time, and Zambies is a Twitch partner. Artist. She does some collaboration work. She's doing a coloring book with Mike, and we'll have them. I got the characters all done and ready to go, so I'm all ready for that, and that will be. Oh my gosh! So my Zoom just went off because of the idle time, but that shouldn't have affected the stream. I was like, "What happened?" Yeah, so that'll be Saturday at 9 a.m. All right, sounds good. And then next Sunday we'll have another Gabbin. I'm working on a special guest. Hopefully he'll either be on upcoming Sunday or the Sunday after. And let me just go. You may know this person. Let me go to my Instagram and show you who I'm talking about. I think it would be great. So the Inked Mage, Dan Masucci, he'll be on hopefully either this Sunday upcoming or Sunday after. As you can see, he is big in terrain too, and really well respected, like 14,000 followers on Instagram. And he and I just want to talk editions. I want to just have some fun with discussions and what we do differently, what we do the same. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion. So it'll either be next Sunday or Sunday after. He's trying to work out the schedule. So we'll have him coming on. And that'll do it. Let's do that. Thanks for bearing with me back. Sorry, our apologies for Steven not coming on. With that, he was all set to, and boom, and then there goes the house when it comes to straight line wins in Arkansas. So, all right, the winner tonight I will take your name down. Thank you. It was nice. It was a nice time. I had a nice vacation. I got to get cracking. I got a lot going on. We got Virtual GrowdCon. We got the Altamira project, and just all the other stuff I got going. Like I said, I'm on Classic Sam, New York GM tomorrow night. On her, I will put that out to everyone. I got a cat right here coming. Tomorrow night at 7. She's interviewing me. Which is cool. So that'll be probably 2 hours tomorrow night. I'll be on, and then we'll have the normal week. It's good to be back, and but I'm looking forward to getting some more content done, and I got some writing I got to do too. So here we go. Last call for the winner for this. Let me close this out. Let's see who wins. Here we go. The winner of this great Kickstarter, getting all 3 PDFs when they come out, so it will be a little time. Sam Weiss, grats. All right, Sam, I got you. I will will not note that down. I think it's the first win you've had on the channel ever. That's good to hear. Cool. So you will get all 3 of those publications when it hits, the Kickstarter hits. And grats. Very cool. Yeah, you won. First time. See? Grats to hear. Very cool. Who's on? I don't see Darling on tonight. So Tomb of Annihilation. I should have looked. Me being solos. Yeah, there you go. Cool. I'm a little wonked tonight. You guys want to? Is Guild Superior on? Let me see. Are they running? Are they running any Greyhawk? Phoenix, he's on too. What's he running? Is he on Tomb of Annihilation? All right, we'll do Phoenixy tonight. Okay, sound good? We'll do Phoenixy. So thank you all. Tomorrow night, if you want to catch me on an interview on a Classic Sam NYGM, she rated in tonight. I'll be there, and I'll see. If not, I'll see you all, Mike and myself, and maybe we'll have a guest on who wants to talk about their top 10. Let's see if Carlos wants to come on or someone for that discussion on NPC. It's not NPC, it's personalities. So it may not be specifically an NPC, maybe a PC. Thank you so very much. So see you all soon. It's good to be back. Have a good one. Have a good night. Buttons aren't where up. That button. I hit the wrong button again. Wrong button. That one. All right, we're gonna rate into Phoenixy. They moved everything. They always are moving shit around on me, man. I come back and like my whole interface on his screen's different. It says stream starting soon. I don't know if he's started yet even, so maybe he's, well, that's okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you all Wednesday. You guys have a great night, gals. See you soon.